Come correct or don't come at all.
This is the Hartzog Hustle Podcast.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And we're talking about the hustle, strategy, and mindset you need to win in the areas of your finance, your purpose, and your future.
Know what I'm saying?
If you have heart and you want to learn how to activate the power of your hustle, then this is the podcast for you, baby. For you, baby.
Congratulations.
And now, your hosts, Anthony and Janilka Hartzog.
This is how it should be done.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Hartzog Hustle Podcast. My name is Anthony. I'm joined here by Mrs. Hartzog Hustle herself.
Hello. I didn't know I had that name, but that's my name now.
Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be talking about everything as it relates to the everyday hustle, business, relationship, entrepreneurship. And it was funny because we always on social media, right? And
Always.
And I was I'm a part of this entrepreneurship call every single morning. And I was put on a spot because somebody had asked a question about the cleaning business. If you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe and like this podcast so it helps us reach more people. But I was referred to as the cleaning business coach, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that.
Well, the funny thing about that is that we weren't even sure we were going to do a course. Well, because I said that I didn't think people wanted to hear about it.
Yeah.
So to be called the cleaning business coach definitely is weird. Has a weird ring to it. Not a bad ring, just like not something that we expected.
Yeah, if you guys are new here, we also have a cleaning business course, start a 6-figure cleaning business without cleaning houses. Links will be somewhere below. But when I was put on the spot and it was like, yo, somebody asked a question, it was like, yo, ask the cleaning business coach, Anthony. And I was like, wait, do I want to be known as? And the thing is, we've been teaching people how to start and run their 6-figure cleaning businesses for over a year now. We've been in the cleaning business for a year. And I wasn't sure I wanted to be known as the cleaning business coach for us.
Why not, though? Like, if you think about it, what was the reason that you didn't want that?
I think it's a fear of, everybody calls himself like a coach or guru. And I didn't want to be seen from people who've been in the business longer as... I think that's what it really had to do with it. I want to be seen as people who've been in the business longer, like, oh, you guys are calling yourself coaches now, or you're the cleaning business coaches. And you only been doing this for 4 years, I guess.
Yeah, but then I guess the question becomes, what is the specific standard to being a coach, right? Or I think about like trainers or makeup artists. So because I've been doing it for 5 months, you've been doing it for 10 years, I can't call myself a makeup artist. Like, you know what I mean? The same thing with the trainer, because maybe I went to schooling for it the same way you did, or whatever the steps are that they have to take. But, because I'm a teacher for 10 years, you're a teacher for 2 years. I mean, where does it... yes, they may have more experience, right? Yes, they may have a bit more knowledge on certain things, but I think we can both learn from each other. As I may bring fresh ideas in, and you may have things that's always worked, or marketing, so I think that there's a balance there.
And what I did was I actually Googled the definitions of coach just to be sure.
Okay, what did you
I wanted
come
to
up
be
with?
known as, and I'm looking over my phone right now. So, coach is someone who specializes in a training or teaching. And I said, okay, well, that's what coach means. And I said, what does specialize mean? Because I want to be sure about that. And it said, specialize means concentrating on a small area or subject.
Okay. Which we concentrate on a specific area. We niche down on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to be sure are you okay with being called the cleaning business coaches?
I mean, I'm fine with it because we have a lot of students that turn to us for that, right?
Yeah.
To turn to us for the mentorship, turn to us to help them with things that they may have to get to the point that we are at with our business being 6 figures, soon to be $1 million business.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, so I'm fine with it, but I agree it's not something that I thought of. And like I said at the beginning, I didn't even think we should do a course on the cleaning business.
That's true.
I had said that we should do a course on our debt freedom, our debt payoff, our debt journey,
which we did.
Basically, which we did have one on that, but we wanted to make it on a bigger scale. And I was like, let's focus on that. Because I'm like, more people want to know about that. And you were like, well, people want to raise their income to get out of debt. Yeah. So this may be the thing. And we spoke to some of the coach gurus. I would say Danielle is a coach guru.
Yeah.
Of a course guru, sorry, which she would be considered a coach as well. And she agreed. She agreed that she's like, I think the cleaning business is a bit more specific.
Yeah.
That many people aren't doing, that isn't sexy, isn't anything that people think about. So yeah, I'll take the name, Mrs. Cleaning Business Coach.
I think I was just fearful of being known for one thing too. It's like I didn't want to be known for that one thing.
And that was part of the reason why when we started with the cleaning business, I'm like, we have so much more to us. Like we side hustles, we got out of debt, we're funny, we have things to share. We have so much more than just that. But I think we've been able to balance it more. Yeah. And with people just hearing us talk about the cleaning business and talk about our journey, they see that it's more than just that. Yeah. But at this point, our page and more people follow us specifically for that.
Yeah, and it's nothing wrong with being known for that one thing, but I think I just had to come to terms with it.
Yeah. And they called you out and made you come to terms with it right away.
And I think a big part of that, I mean, this whole conversation is just about being different, right? Because I think that when we first started this journey, our goal was to be different. And we knew that when we started to just try to pay off this debt, we knew that wasn't a normal thing to do. Mm-hmm. But in order to pay off a significant amount of debt in a short amount of time, we had to be different. And one of the things we did to be different was we decided we had to pick up extra jobs.
Yes. So look, you brought up a point. Paying off the debt is different, right? Because people don't pay off their debt. There's no reason to. I mean, that was my response at the time too.
You definitely was like,
when you had brought it to me,
you definitely was like, I was like, ain't nobody doing this.
I'm like, what's the reason? No one is paying off debt. Yeah.
What is the reason?
Cardi B voice. I'm like, no one is paying off debt. What's the reason? What's the rush? We are paying our bills. We'll just have this. The biggest thing was my student loans, where I got for my master's specifically. And I'm like, we'll just have this, and it is what it is. We'll pay it when we pay it. It's 10 years, 15 years. It's gonna be there because that's life. That's what we were taught. Yep. That's life, and that's how it's gonna go. But it don't have to go that way. And so we've learned that. So that was the first different thing that we did. Yeah. Well, maybe the first thing was moving out of New York. That was different.
That was definitely different. I never thought I'd be living in Dallas, Texas for almost 6 years now.
Please. I always thought that we were just living in if I moved somewhere out of Brooklyn, it would be tri-state area. It would be
like New Jersey,
Connecticut, Long Island. And that's still in New York.
That's right there. I don't even count.
That was it. There was nothing further than that in my head.
But we realized that we had to be different in order to do the things we want to do, especially where we are today.
Mm-hmm. So paying off the debt was one thing, but in order to pay off the debt, we side hustled like crazy. As some of our family members said, we were working like Jamaicans. If you're Caribbean,
nothing's wrong with you. Where does that even come from? Why are we talking about Jamaicans or West Indians?
If you're Caribbean, you have an understanding of that.
Because I think people from not even just West Indies, people from other countries come to the United States
and hustle,
and they have a hustle mindset. They have a hustle mentality where it's like, listen, there's so much opportunity in the United States. I'm gonna come here and take it all. Yeah. Which is why a lot of African people from Africa or whatever, their families are like doctors and lawyers. I learned that from my fraternity alone. A lot of Africans in my frat, a lot of them are doctors and lawyers because they said my family told me we going to America. That's what you got to be: doctors, lawyer, or engineer. That's another one, engineer. So they knew that they was going to come to this country and be different. I'm from America, so I had to learn.
You are American.
It don't get more American than me, but. They came from these other countries and realized that we got to hustle. We got to be different to outwork everyone else there.
Yeah. And I think also because the type of jobs that you can get when you come here, you're not necessarily a citizen. Yeah. It's not something that is enough to pay for your life. Yeah. You have kids, you have family. You're probably sending money and stuff back home, as we call it, shipping things that they don't have access to or that
in those big containers.
Yes, in barrels. Those big containers. So that's another reason why you work like that, to have enough money to do those things. Because when you come here, there's family back home. Yep. Or you come here and you leave your kid home until you can set up and then bring your kid up. So there's so many different things. And so that's where the saying about Jamaicans come up. But family and friends were saying like, yeah, over there working like Jamaicans. Like, how is it possible? Because we both had our 9 to 5s plus, our first job that we did was working at Equinox, which is a luxury gym, and that was us only getting paid $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Now, you were making six figures. I was making close to six figures, not six figures at that time. And so to be taking a $9 an hour job,
yeah, it was different.
Was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so we were both working I'm a director at an IT firm, and Janoka's a manager. We both manage people. I make six figures. I think you were making close to six figures at the time too. And we decided that we were going to work at a gym, a local gym. Equinox is one of the highest end gyms in the country, but we knew that we had to get to our goal faster. Like that was the big thing. We had $114,000 of debt, and we said in order to get paid this debt off faster, we're either going to have to cut expenses or raise our income. So we decided to work at the gym.
Yep. And the reason we didn't cut our expenses because of me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because Anthony would have cut our expenses like in half. Like, okay, no. But in having a discussion, we realized that we wanted to still enjoy life while paying off the debt. Reason being, I'm thinking back to another podcast that we did. Reason being is that we had the money to do so.
Yeah.
There was no reason for us to really cut back because we were making a good amount of money. We weren't spending all of it. And now we're bringing in extra income. Now we're living large. You know what I mean? Now it's even more money. So why do we need to cut down more?
So we're going to talk about that Equinox journey, because I think that was a very important mindset shift for us. And I think that was one of the beginnings of, the mindset shift that changed a lot of things for us. So we were both making six figures or close to it, and we decided to pick up a $9 an hour job. You got to be a different type of person. A lot of that is not a normal thing to do. Like, you're going to make six figures and decide that I'm going to take a extremely, because I make, I think, $50 an hour or something like that in my job. I'm going to work for a fraction of that at a gym, picking up
doing
towels,
more work,
doing more physical labor.
Because I was working from home.
Yeah.
So since we moved down to Dallas, I've been working from home. So I was just going to the second bedroom.
Yep.
So for me to go to Equinox is me leaving my home at this point.
Yep.
And doing technically extra work, having to stand up. I was sitting all day, and now at Equinox I'm standing all day.
Yeah.
So
we decided to work at this. We decided to work at the gym, one of the highest end gyms in the country, and one of the wealthiest areas of Dallas, Texas, and probably one of the wealthiest areas of Texas as a whole.
Oh, I don't know.
Preston Hollow, and going and deciding to make that decision to work at that gym. The interview process was easy. I went in there. I was like, all right, we got this.
You had got the job first.
Yeah, and I went in there in my full suit, and they was like, where the hell is this guy coming from for an interview at the gym? Picking up towels to do maintenance
in a suit.
I was like, listen, I'm coming from work. I gave them the story, like, listen, I'm coming from work. I work a full-time job, and I'm just here to make extra money. And they understood that.
But yeah, with interviewing, I mean, I think for us in our professional life, that's how you dress anyway.
Yeah.
Like, so even if it's a gym job or a Foot Locker job, you're probably like, this is how I have to dress. It's an interview.
Yeah. So I went through that interview process, and I ended up I got the job like right then on the spot, and it was a maintenance job, and I knew the pay was $9 an hour going in. I got a free membership. So at this point, I'm like, all right, we're able to make more money to help us pay off this debt. And I started working there for, how many weeks was it before you came on?
I don't know. I think you started in May, June. I don't remember when you started.
We're talking about 2017?
2017. I want to say you started maybe in May, and I started maybe September.
Okay.
Or something like that.
So I'm working there for a few months. I'm going to my job 9 to 5, and I'm going to Equinox, the gym, from 5 to 10. Hopefully we don't get sued for this saying their name so much. Maybe we just don't say the name anymore.
Sued by what?
By them. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how it works.
To the gym. We were going to the gym.
So we were going to the gym.
Scratch the. So we were working there.
Working there from 9. I was at my gym. I was at my job from 9 to 5, and we were working at the gym. I was working at the gym from 5 to 10.
Yeah, we were really at your job until 4:30 because then you hit the job.
Yeah.
Yes. And you were doing that. I want to say Wednesday to Sunday or some crazy amount. Like you were doing a significant amount of hours. They needed people though. They always needed people. So you were doing a big amount of hours there, and I was home, and I'm like, well, I want to work too. Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
But
like,
you aren't used to working when you don't have to. So we're talking about that. We're talking about this whole mindset shift around making this amount of money, 100 six figures plus
as a family.
to going down to 9 hours an hour. So what was your mindset where you said, I want to work too? Like, what made you want to work too? Because you didn't have to. I could have just did it. And so I didn't want to do it.
I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to say I worked out at Equinox. I don't know.
Stop saying the name.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Because that's what Kanye said.
What he say?
He said all the bad bees work at Equinox.
He definitely said that. He definitely said that.
But no. I think I wanted the free membership is what I was thinking. And then also I was working from home and I was getting off at 4 p.m. What am I doing at 4 p.m. until 10 o'clock at night when you come home? Walking the dog, okay.
Could have been cooking, cleaning.
Okay. And then just going to the gym. And I think that we were side hustling at that time, probably since March of 2017. So I think my mindset started to shift around like, okay, yeah, let's bring more income into the family to be able to pay off this debt. Because when we started the debt journey, we didn't have a time frame in mind. We weren't saying like, all right, we're going to pay it off in this amount of time. We weren't saying we're going to pay it off in 23 months. But when we started working towards it and within 3 months, we saw how much we could pay off, it was like, oh, okay, it's game time.
Yeah.
Okay, we have this goal of paying it off by my birthday, which was the 23 months time frame. So I think that that's what made me say like, well, I need to get in on this as well, because what's happening with me? You're working at the gym. And so I think you brought it to the manager and they're like, yeah, they need somebody for front desk. They'll need somebody for front desk.
I don't even think they interviewed you. When I brought it to them, they were like, she's hired. Before.
Yeah. It was like an email situation. And then I went in to tell me like what's going to happen.
They knew me and they knew my work. You got hired based on my work ethic. That's what it was.
Oh, so you the man.
I didn't say I was a man, but they knew me. My work ethic was there.
Okay.
So I told them that you wanted to work. They were like, all right, you came in or something like that. You did the interview process. You got the job. So what job did you get?
I was working front desk, which really means I'm scanning people in, when you go to the gym, picking up payments if you missed it. We're like the last ones in the building, essentially, because we walk it, make sure everybody has left and maintenance is gone and all that type of stuff. So that was essentially it. Checking the counting how many people were in different classes. And so that was a job. It was very, very easy. Right. And different, and not that my 9 to 5 was hard, but just a different pace.
Definitely
really.
A different pace.
And it allowed me to socialize because I'm working from home. And so I don't have any, coworkers or friends, if you will.
And that was our first year down here. So I think that was really good for you being able to get out, because I was still going to work. I mean, this is
so you had coworkers.
So I had coworkers. I had people I was mingling with. I had, office events and stuff like that.
Lunches and stuff.
But you were just home, with Blue, essentially.
With my dog.
For the whole,
that was it.
You was home with Blue,
sad.
essentially, for the whole day. So I think you getting out and socialize was a big part of you. That
was a big part of it. So the socialization, it was easy, and then getting the free membership at the gym was like, okay. And I had time to do it. It wasn't an inconvenience in my life. And so that was the thing. I think also the manager understood that we both had 9 to 5. So she allowed a lot of flexibility in that regard. So not that I don't know what flexibility much I needed, but sometimes if I was running a little later, she understood, because work, I can't just leave work. It is what it is. I understand I have this job to be at. But I think also with my professionalism is what made her come to me and say, hey, we actually want to make you a team lead, which a MOD is what they call it, manager on duty, which was shocking for me, because I'm like, I barely work part-time. I'm like, I'm here nowhere as near as people that are working full-time. Like, people were there 5-6 days a week because they needed it. This was their only job. And I was there what they required. 20 hours, 3 shifts, stuff like that. If I wanted more income and I had the time, and then I would work more.
I think a big part of us working there was that we were able to use our mindset and our skills from our 9 to 5s, and we brought it to that, I guess you could say, low level job, because we were managers. I'm a director. We managed people. We had our professionalism, and we brought what we learned. We took our skills that we had in our 9 to 5s and brought it to the gym. So that now when I'm walking in and I'm cleaning the showers, I'm doing this with pride, even though I know I don't have to be here, but I'm doing it in a way. And I think it's also different when you don't have to be somewhere as well. When you choose to be somewhere, especially at a job, your mindset, your whole body language is different.
Yep.
So I'm coming from work in my suit, and people would ask me like, "Oh, where you coming from?" I'm like, "I work." And it's like, "Oh, and you work here?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So us taking our mindset and our skill set and bringing it there was a game changer too.
Yeah, and just being very professional. I think people saw that even when learning new things
Yeah.
and interacting with the parents when they're dropping off their kids and interacting with people coming in and people having conversations of like, oh, I only see you here at night, or I don't see you here often. What are you doing outside of this? I mean,
Yeah.
just be them being nosy or just conversation. But stuff like that, like we started to build relationship with people. First of all, there's not many black people in that gym. Okay,
Yeah.
let's be very clear. In the Preston Hollow area in Dallas and where we worked, there was one black woman in the shop, me at the front desk, you at maintenance, and then maybe 3 trainers that were black out of the whole entire staff. So you stand out, okay? You stand out automatically. You change your hair. There's questions.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
you gotta adapt in certain situations.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So we knew where we were. We knew that we worked outside the gym. We knew that we had a level of professionalism, so we had to adapt. But we also knew that we didn't need to be there as well. So that mindset of us coming in with that, we know we don't need to be here. We know we have larger goals. It also allowed us to be, I guess, free and flexible in the way we kind of carried ourselves too.
Yeah. So I think with the building of relationships, the professionalism, that took us far there, and we had a lot of good rapport. I mean, we even became close with a couple there. We went to their house. They took us out to dinner. We had a lot of conversations there, networking. I met some friends there that we went out. So it was a good time. I don't really think I had any bad experiences there. But it also was allowing us to work towards our goal.
Exactly.
And so when people say, well, if I'm making 6 figures, why would I be there at at a job that's paying $9? Because I needed more income. Yeah, 6 figures, but it wasn't enough for me to pay off my debt. So I needed more income. And I don't think I looked at it as like, this is a lower job because you have a salary. And that may be the reason why it didn't feel so bad. But I know like, friends and family would be like, what are you doing there?
I remember when my boss first found out that I was working at the gym, and he could not understand why. We had a conversation. He's like, hey, I found out that you worked at the local gym out there. I'm just trying. He's like, and I was like, yeah, I've been working there as doing maintenance. He's like, okay, so I understand that. And I was like, is there anything wrong? He's like, no, I just want to know why. And we were having this conversation, and I was explaining to him like our goals around getting out of debt was just so much bigger than my job currently or that job. But he was like, "But yeah, we pay you good money."
Yeah, but and that's the thing; it's relative.
He's like, "We pay you good money," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get paid good money, but I could always make more." I was like, "You are limited on the amount of money that you could give me because it's not out your pocket. You don't have the end all be all as the bank." At the job, so there's always more money to be made outside of my job. And when I kind of explained it to them like that, he said, "Okay, as long as you're having a good time." I was like, "It's not even about having a good time. Like you kind of missed the whole conversation." But people won't understand when your goals are so big and you do things that are different outside the normal. Most people will not get that.
Yeah. And that's okay because all I need is for you to get, my partner, like you're the one that I'm with, and we would work together and, meaning like he's doing maintenance, I'm doing front desk, same time. We know when we go home, we got to walk the dog, So we just had that routine. And for us, we even knew that when it became too much, meaning like, all right, I just worked the last 3 weekends. I ain't working this weekend. We just wouldn't. I mean, we would tell them in advance, not like we just calling out. But we would make sure our schedules align in that way. So we were very intentional to make sure that we still had time for each other. And so I know it sounds like a lot, but we weren't working every single day. Now, you were working a lot. You were working 5 days a week there.
Yeah.
And that's why you burned out so quickly. So you worked, I think, from May to December 2017, and that was it.
Yeah. And I think, and the reason I burned out so much is that I was trying to do too much too fast. So I was like, we got these goals. I want to get to it as fast as possible. So I'm working 40 hours at my job and then 40 hours there. And I think I wasn't eating.
Started to lose weight.
I started losing weight. I wasn't able to kind of get into that. I'm a very routine type of guy. So I wasn't able to stay in my routine where if I know that I'm not working, I can eat, I can sleep, I can work out whenever I need to. But if I'm working there, I kind of got to plan my whole evening around the gym, working at the gym and then working out after. So if I'm getting off at 10, I got to work out at 10. I'm not getting home till 11. So that's why I think that's why I burned out so fast there, because my routine was off. But at the end of the day, I was like, we got goals. Let's try to get there as soon as possible. And
yeah. And so you had stopped working there by then in 2017. And that's you did 2017 and then 2018. And I stayed there honestly until March of 2020. Right. So I was the manager. I was there 2.5 years. So March of 2020, I stayed there, and I finally quit because we had moved further, and they had a new manager, and it just didn't make sense anymore either.
Do you think that most people looked at us as being weird doing that?
Oh yeah. Like why are you doing this? Yeah, like even when I spoke to, because I trained a lot of people there as well, and we would just have conversations. They were like, "You're a therapist and you work here, so when do you do that? And when do you?" Or they just wanted to understand, like, how is it possible, and why are you doing this as well?
Do you think that's is that based on the gym, the location itself, or do you think that's just people in general?
Oh, I think it's just people in general. I don't think it's just based on the location itself. I think it was just people in general just curious as to why would both you and your husband work full-time jobs. You
make decent money.
Why would you be working here?
Yeah.
And that was that. I'm like, and I work other places, because remember I was doing private practice as well at one point. Yeah. I was going into a private practice, so I was doing 3 not physical jobs, but jobs that required me to sit and do and time wise and stuff like that. So I think people just it's not a norm. I think when you tell people to make more money and they're just like, well, how? Like, what am I going to do? If I don't want to start a business, what do I do? And we always say, like, well, can you get like OT at your job? I mean, not all jobs offer it, like my job doesn't. But if it does offer it, can you start there? You can make more money there. Or can you take another position at your job?
Yeah.
So,
but I think with us, when we first started this journey, there was no like starting a business or
no.
There was first thing when we said we're gonna make more money, the first thing we did was pick up a job.
And somebody that might have been an entrepreneur might not, right?
That's true.
Because that's what I think that's how we were raised and understood, that you work more, you make more.
Yeah. So with us working that job, I think one of the biggest things that I learned was, you got to be humble to do a job like that too. Because especially, I think everything else outside the job was that we had our 9 to 5s. You know, I'm a director, you're a manager. We manage teams. We make very good money, and now we're coming in. I'm having my suit, and now I'm changing. It's like Superman going to like Clark Kent in a way.
Oh, now you're Superman.
I'm going to say I'm Superman going to Clark Kent. And you know that
so who am I?
I don't know.
Nobody changes?
Lois Lane don't change.
I don't know who she is. I mean, I know her name,
Superman's
but
girlfriend.
Yeah. Wife. Okay, now I don't want to be
but
her.
She didn't change.
She didn't change.
She didn't change. She was just cool. So, like Superman, knowing that you're Clark Kent, knowing that you're Superman outside of here, but you got to be humble enough to kind of pick up towels and clean bathrooms, and that was actually the beginning of the cleaning journey too. So you're cleaning bathrooms, you're wiping down equipment, you're cleaning off machines, but you know you don't have to be here.
Yeah, I think it definitely takes a humble thing, because people assume that because I'm in this role, they assume they know what I'm doing.
What do you mean?
So people assume because I work at the front desk, that's all I do, right?
Oh, okay.
Or they assume like, oh, this person doesn't have any real job, or this person doesn't have any like
work
income out of work experience. You just assume that in people's certain roles. That's part of life.
But why?
I don't. I mean, am I in the world? I don't know why. I mean, certain jobs, because you would say to yourself that somebody would want a better job than that, right? So if you think, people assume that somebody working at Wendy's or McDonald's doesn't have a life.
You're thinking that they don't have a college experience or a degree.
That's just assumption that's made.
Versus someone trying to better themselves or they have larger goals than just being at
like you have
Wendy's
no
or-
idea. You have no idea. And so people just assume that if I'm just working the front desk or if you're working maintenance, that okay. And so when you say more, people are like, what? Like, so what's happening here? And so that's how we had mentioned that we almost got a franchise that we almost opened a private practice because one lady, she should just come late all the time, like later on in the evening.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that story.
And we just started having conversations with scanning in and how you doing today and what's going on. And I'm like, actually, I'm a mental health therapist. Oh really? Like people are like floored.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought you just work front desk.
You just work front desk. Oh no, just do this on the side.
On the side? What else you do?
And she invited me down to her office to see it, to get experience, and we even had a conversation about opening a franchise with her. Like,
was he supposed to go to like one of her meetings, her team meetings or something like that?
I went to a team meeting, and then I was going to become a therapist there, and then it became like she saw that. I think I had a conversation with her about having a cleaning business, and she's like, I can tell you're business oriented. Maybe you don't become a therapist, but you become an owner for one of our franchises. And so that is kind of like how that conversation really went.
Was an MLM. You think so?
Huh?
Think she's trying to scam you?
What's an MLM?
Multi-level marketing.
It wasn't a multi. I went to the place.
I'm just asking.
What the hell? No, it's a real place out here. I know the office and everything. And there's multiple. She has multiple franchises. Okay. I mean, people are opening it up in different states and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a real deal, but it allowed networking. But I'm just saying in general, people just assume that when you're in a specific role that that's what you do, or like they think they know your life, if you will.
But you can also take an opportunity like that, and let's say I was more focused on the opportunity that was in front of us, I probably would have been more vocal around the conversations that I was having there with people. Like you were in the front desk where
I can meet everyone.
I think your role was a little bit different. I'm maintenance, so people kind of see that as a low level activity. So I'm sitting down talking to people who are butt ass naked. And it's a little different where you're like, I ain't talking to you. I'm gonna keep it moving.
Yeah, we could talk when you're dressed.
Yeah. So I think if there would have been more opportunities for networking if I was more vocal while I was there too, versus just being focused on like, all right, I gotta get this money, gotta go home, come back, do the same thing again.
Yeah, but we were in also different spaces. It was the beginning of what would be our entrepreneurial journey as well.
Definitely.
And so, like you said, with that networking component, I don't know that we were thinking about doing that per se. It just was, we're here to do a job. We enjoy what we're doing. We're doing it well, and see you again tomorrow if I can.
But it takes a different type of person to take that opportunity and turn it into what we turned it into. Being able to, like you said, you were potentially going to open up a therapy franchise.
Yeah, a location.
Just by having those conversations, and also taking this income and putting this straight to debt. It's not passing go. It's not collecting $200. It's going straight to debt every single check. But most people don't want to. They don't want to do things like that. They're not going to work that extra job outside their job. They're not going to be willing to be tired after work. Not willing to give up their whole weekends.
Because you think about it, it's like and I had this conversation with my mother one time. I'm like, I see why I'm going to speak on people that don't have children, which is significant amount of people. People that don't have children, I said, I see why people are like at happy hour frequently or going out to dinner, because I'm like, once you get off at 5:00, if say I went to the gym already or whatever, what am I doing?
From 5 to maybe 11.
5 to maybe 11.
Sitting in traffic for an hour, maybe.
Depending, or in New York, you're traveling on the train.
So
maybe you get home at 6:30. 6 to 11. To 11, I'm like, I could watch TV, yes, but...
How much TV can you watch?
How much TV do I need to watch every single night for the rest of my life? Right? And so that is
nothing wrong with TV, because we watch a lot of TV.
Oh, we do watch a lot of TV, because I like TV. But I think that is also where you can kind of think of, you do have the time. A lot of times we do have the time, but do you want to give the time to those things? Do you want to give up the freedom that you have? And that's what we made sure that when we talk about us side hustling and us doing our job, the things that we did was that they were all very flexible.
Yeah.
They were all very, not that we didn't have to be there, but we made sure that it was flexible so that it didn't become a burden.
Yep.
So it didn't feel like another 9 to 5, like, oh God. Yes, there were some days I dreaded going into the gym. I mean, okay. But it was a 4 or 5 hour shift.
Yeah, it wasn't at the end
It
of
was
the
a
world.
4 or 5 hour shift. So it was kind of like, all right, I could get through this and I'll be able to do everything else. So if I'm working 3 5-hour shifts a week, it's 7 days in a week. I have 4 days that I'm not doing that. And that was what was required. Now, did I give more time? Yeah, because I wanted more money. So there's times I gave more time, definitely. But there is opportunity there. And sometimes you just have to figure out like where you can fit it in or when you want to fit it in. Just keeping that in mind. Because I know some people, sometimes when we're talking on live and just speaking with people, they're like, well, I don't have the time. And I'm like, well, tell me your schedule. Let's break it down.
If we really sit down and think about our days, right, in terms of time blocks, this is an activity that someone wanted me to do, but I'm like, I don't have the time to do a time block.
But I actually do that at one of my jobs.
So they say, all right, let's sit down and let's count every single hour of your day, every single task, and let's start to compartmentalize the actual the time blocks that you're doing. So let's say social media, let's say posting on Instagram, let's say you're 9 to 5, let's say you're answering emails, let's say you're even using the restroom, eating, traveling, and they said do that every single day for a week, and then start to remove the items that you feel like, all right, you spend too much time doing. So let's say social media, I do it 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and it adds up. You do that, and you add it up for the whole day. And let's say that whole day is about 3 hours of your day. You just checking your phone. It's like, all right, let's cut that down by 2 hours. Let's cut that down to an hour and a half. So now you have an extra hour and a half in your day. Let's say you're answering emails, a bunch of emails you're answering that you don't even need to answer. Like, all right, well, let's spend, instead of answering emails throughout the day, let's answer emails at 9. Let's answer emails at maybe 11 or 12. Let's answer emails again at 3 in the afternoon. So they said to start to do things like that so you can see how much time you actually have in your day so you can figure out, do I have any time to do anything else? And most of the time, you don't even have to do that to figure it out. Just what are you doing after work?
Yeah. What are you doing after work? They answer that question. What are you doing after work? And so I understand people say, well, I have to cook and stuff.
But
you don't cook every day.
You was even working before work at times too.
I did. Because the gym opened up during the weekday. It opened up at like 5 a.m. So you could go in. We had to be there at 4:45 a.m. And then when I changed positions, I starting work a little later. So work started 8:30. So sometimes I would do the 4:45 to 8 a.m. shift. And then so that I didn't have to work for the rest of the day, or like I didn't have to go in after.
But you could only do this because you don't have kids, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I had a kid and you were home to watch it, then maybe I could still do it.
Okay, so that changes things a little bit too, because that question comes up all the time. It's like you can only do so much because you don't have kids, and I understand our time is definitely more flexible because we don't have kids.
That's 100% true.
But why do we feel like we have to blame some of our not blame, but we sort of say we can't do certain things because of this. Like we can't. Oh, I would do that, but I have kids. Like, why do kids have to be a burden on us? Or why do we have to approach situations as if kids are a burden?
Well, I think for some people, kids are a burden. I think for some people it is. Is it the kid's fault? No. Different circumstances. I don't know. So I think for some people it is. I think also it depends on support that people have.
Yeah.
And so some people are in relationships. So when I say like mom and dad are together, but one spouse, mainly men, isn't as flexible, and they see it as the woman's job to constantly just do for the child. So doing more outside of that is kind of like not a priority.
Yeah.
And so I think that kids can make it a challenge, right? In that I don't have the freedom to just up and go. Like I have to plan.
Yep.
If I have somebody to watch the child, is that a family member? Is that a nanny? Do I trust them? How long can they watch them? Money, like things like that is what plays into, I think, people automatically saying, well, I got a kid, so I can't do that.
Yeah.
So for some people, you may not be able to. I mean, they may be 100% right because of whatever financially or support, they don't have that, right? And then there are obviously others that probably can do it, but just use that excuse as the kid and then don't do more.
So,
go ahead. No, I was just saying, because then, what are the ways? Because it's like, okay, I can't do that, but can you do something else?
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go with that too.
Is there a workaround for that? For whatever it is that you want to do, is there a workaround while having the kid? It may be more challenging than it was for me, like because I can just do it without a problem. But is there another workaround for that?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to go to. It doesn't have to be. We're talking about our experience not even at the gym. It's not even about the gym. Mm-hmm. It's about you changing your mindset to be able to say, I have a goal. How can I get to this goal faster? What can I do to get to that goal? And how can I ensure that getting to that goal is exactly where I want to be? So, like, let's say we remove the gym, and let's say we have kids, and you can't. Let's say you're by yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, let's say I'm by myself. Let's say I'm a single dad. I can't go to the gym. We were talking about the single moms. Let's say I'm a single dad. I can't work out. I can't go to the gym.
Well, the gym has daycare, actually.
Yeah, for employees too. But let's say the gym's removed. Let's just say I have a goal of paying off this debt. I got 2 kids. I can't leave the house to go to do anything else. Mm-hmm. Now the question is my mindset where it needs to be, where I can figure out other ways to make income from home, or other ways I can make income where I don't have to leave my kids, or I don't have to leave the house? Or is there any ways that I could get outside help where I could kind of get to that goal faster, where it's not just me saying I can't do it because of them, or I can't do it because of this?
Right.
And that's the whole purpose of this conversation. Is not just about us working out or us getting a free membership at this high-end exclusive gym for $9 an hour, but it's us making 6 figures, also deciding we want to get to our goal faster and taking a much lesser wage, but also making it fit into our lives.
Yeah. Basically making it work, right? And so how can I make it work? Because everything is not going to be easy in life. There's going to be challenges that I have to face and work towards. And, you know, how do I continue to make that work? Because this is the goal that we have. And that's what it was. No matter... And I'm not saying like family and friends were making fun of us at all. They just didn't understand it, right? But then after a while, it became, well, we know that y'all gonna do what y'all do, right? We know that y'all gonna have all these jobs and y'all gonna continue to, you know, work because y'all working towards this. So it became a norm, right? It became like
for family, friends,
so they're like, how's it all managing? Instead of just how you doing, like how is everything else doing? How's the businesses? Like, oh, I'm on my way to Equinox. I'll text you when I'm at, I'll text you when I arrive. That so it just became those conversations. It just became part of our life. And like I said, I was there for 2.5 years, so it just became part of our life. But thinking back, like now, that was the place where we started, right? So now, would you take a job for $9 an hour?
Absolutely not. But now, don't get me wrong. It's not even about the money. It's about the time.
It's about the time.
It's about the time. So we spend.
It's definitely about the time, because there's opportunities that came up for me. You're like, no, don't do it.
It's about the time. It's not even about the money. You had opportunities where you can make $100 an hour, and I said no. Because it's the time commitment that you would have to use. Can you put that energy somewhere else? Can you put that energy or make that same money, but also maybe put that energy into your own life? Put that energy into yourself. Do you want to read? Do you want to go to the spa? Do you want to chill? Do you want to relax? And you're only able to do that when you achieve a certain level of financial freedom, when you can turn down monetary opportunities, right? Because now you're like, I don't have to do that thing for that job or that money because I don't necessarily need it in this season.
Right. And you always say that, because I always see, like, I think it was even last year, they were like, oh, Amazon is hiring for $25 an hour. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do some Amazon. It was during like the holiday season or something. I'm like, he's like, why are you looking for, you're always like, you always would look for that mindset of like work for the money, like physically working for the money. He's like, we have other businesses and things that we can do that you can put your mind towards and make the same amount that you about to work for 5-6 hours. You can do it in an hour, 30 minutes,
and not leave your home
and be in the house, versus driving somewhere. You probably driving late. You going out rushing after work. You overwhelmed. You doing all these other things.
Now you're not coming home. The families.
You can't cook. You can't walk. You can't do anything. You can't catch up on shows.
You can't walk blue with me. So it changes. When you get to a certain level, you start to realize that it's more important having that time versus that money. So you making $100 or $9 an hour doesn't change for me, because now it's like, well, you can make that money at home, but let's say you can't make that money. Let's say I would rather you be at home with me and Blue, watching TV, or we making dinner, or we just reading, or we talking to your mother, or something like that. It's not even about the monetary compensation at that point.
And I think at that time, you could technically say it wasn't a need. It was something that we wanted to do to pay off the debt, right?
Yeah.
And so right now, it's a little different, because it's like, it's not a need or a want, right? It's not it's like, what is the reason that you're doing that besides just, more money? Yes, one could feel like you never have enough money, but my time is valued differently now, right? I value my time differently the way I did 3 to 5 years ago when I was doing this debt-free journey. It's now more expensive. My time is more.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
No, it's not. My time is definitely more expensive. So if it's going to require me to go out and do work, what is that compensation? Doesn't make sense for me to go and do it, especially if it's just like a 2-hour thing. Right, especially if it's just like, I'm gonna do all this prepping to drive 40 minutes for 2 hours and 40 minutes back. It kind of doesn't make sense. So
yeah, I think this whole conversation around just that mindset shift is important. And it's only, and I say it's important because we did it, so we experienced it. It wasn't something that we had to do, like you said, but it was something that was important for us to get to that next stage in our lives so that we could look back and say, I probably wouldn't do that today, but when we did it, it was important for us. It allowed us to kind of push forward. It allowed us to kind of help us get to that next step and also help us pay off that debt faster.
Yeah, there's lessons in everything that you do, good or bad, right? Yep. There's lessons out there in everything that you do, and I think that was one of them. It was a good experience. We met people there. We could say that we did it. We had that free membership, and I don't regret it at all. Like you said, I wouldn't do it now. But the funny thing was, I considered it just this year. When I joined the gym.
Oh yeah, pick up extra to get the free membership.
So I joined the Equinox as a gym this year. I went back because I'm like
saying the name.
I said it already. I can't scratch that. Sorry. Just
put bleep.
Just put bleep. I don't know why. Okay, whatever.
You never know.
So I joined this gym earlier this year, and some of the people at a different location, and some of the people I recognized or knew from the other location. They're now at this one, whatever. And so I was like, maybe I should work.
You're gonna work.
Maybe I should work like a few hours because they always need people at the front desk, so I can get the free membership.
So let's do the time to money equation.
What I would probably need to
how many hours you would need to work?
I think 15. I don't know what they would ask.
So let's do that.
I'm gonna say that it would be 15.
So you would need to work 15 hours. Okay. How much is membership?
Membership with American Express is like $160.
So 160 divided by 15. You'd be working for $10 an hour.
That's if I get $10 an hour.
No, if you have to work 15 hours.
That's 15 hours a week at that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I would have.
So in order to pay for a $156 membership.
$160 membership. I would have to do 15 times 4 is how many hours I'm working.
15 times 4.
That's 60 hours. 60 hours a month. Yep.
And how much is the membership?
$160.
You'd be working for $2 an hour. You'd be working for $2.66 per hour.
$2.66 an hour.
That is ridiculous.
Hey. Yeah, it didn't make sense. And the time, I understand. It didn't make sense. But I considered it once again. Like you was like, you're always
$2.66 per
wow.
hour.
When you break it down like that sounds like doesn't make sense.
That's ridiculous.
That is definitely ridiculous. I don't disagree. Anyway, I didn't end up doing it, but I actually considered it. But so yeah, it was a learning experience for us. It was fun. We met people, so no regrets there.
Yeah, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't even about just the gym. It's about our journey. Mm-hmm. It's about helping us get to that journey faster, but also that changed the game for us, just changing our mindset where we know that we could do anything at this point.
Yes. And that is our episode for today. Anything else you want to say about that? No, right?
Nah, we're good.
Okay. So make sure that you are subscribing, you are liking, you are sharing, and just letting people know about our podcast. The subscribe button will be accessible to you somewhere, depending on where you're listening. So
watching.
make sure listening or watching. So share.
Appreciate you guys tuning into the Hartzog Hustle podcast. Make sure you guys, like she said, like, subscribe, share. Stay hustling, guys. Keep hustling. Peace.
All right. Have a good one.
This has been an episode of the Hartzog Hustle podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite listening platform. And follow Anthony and Janilka on Instagram at The Hartrimony. That's TheHartrimony. Keep hustling, baby. Keep hustling, baby.
Get that money. Get that